What's going on, YouTube family? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you. More lake breakdowns. This time, had a subscriber ask me about Lake Granbury, and I told him it was coming, but I said it'd be a few weeks because I got stuck on Lake Texoma for like a month and a half. Well, Texoma's over, and now it's time to jump into Granbury. Stick around, I got some good stuff for you. Here we go. Well, here we go. We finally made it to Lake Granbury. I think you guys like giving me these big old lakes because this one's going to take us a little bit. But what I've done is I've broken it into 4 different zones. So you can see here zone 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the left-hand side. If I take those away, you'll see which zones those are. So the light blue is zone 4. The green is going to be zone 3. Which I got to fix that. A little bit of green in there. And then the blue is going to be zone 2. And then zone 1 is going to be all of this in the yellow, which is what we're going to cover tonight. So let's start up here on the northern end. And you'll notice up here, I've got my date set to March of 2015. That was the best date that I could find for this lake, as far as the fluctuation. Now up in here, it was a little bit difficult to find things, but as you see, as we get further down the lake, you'll see the water fluctuation really makes a big difference down there, and we're able to uncover some good stuff. So as we move in here, I'm just going to work my way down this river channel. First couple of things we find up in here is you got some pretty good laydowns going on right in there. So if I zoom in here, you can see it. Pretty good laydowns there. There's actually some decent ones right there as well. I missed that one, but this one looks really good. And if I move that water up, these are actually pretty far underneath the water there. You can't tell that they're there. So don't be fooled by this image where it looks like it's just really obvious. Yeah, of course there's a lay down there because it's not as obvious, I promise. Then moving on down here, you've got a lay down that's right here. I'm just going to keep moving on down this channel. You can see this channel's got lots of good stuff to flip around. You could flip beaver baits in there. You could flip those rage bugs in there. All kinds of good stuff to flip around all this these laydowns that are in there. Also probably good crappie spots too. You've got a pretty good laydown back in here. This one looked interesting. It looks like an old boat that sunk that's just been left there. So if you pull up there, maybe if it's deep enough, you might be able to hit it with your finder and actually see the boat on your finder. But check that out, see what you can find there. That looked pretty interesting. I'm gonna take this back to 2015. You've also got a lot of stick-ups and stuff going on here, so you can definitely flip all of that stuff. Again, on this side, you got a lot of laydowns. When it was just a ton of it, I didn't really mark it, but if it was something specific, obviously you'll see where I mark those. We've also got a ramp that's up here, so you can definitely check that out. As we move on down, we just got a couple of things, just some laydowns and things like that you could just work your way up the bank. But if you wanted to hit the real good hot spots, the ones that stood out, hit those points that I marked for you, and that should really help you out. So I'm going to keep moving on down here. The next thing that we find is right over here by this little boat dock. There's a lot of rocks, a lot of riprap rock and stuff like that. Now, again, if the water's up, you're not going to realize that all of that's there. So it's going to look like it's underwater, but you got some really good rock around this area. So definitely check that out. Totally different than everything else around it too, which is what I really like to see. Then go back over here, a good pile of laydowns right here. These look really, really healthy. And then moving on down, got another ramp with some riprap around it. So definitely want to check that out. Another looks like could be a ramp. I wasn't sure, so I just put debris because you've got a lot of concrete and all kinds of junk going on right in this area. So a lot of good hard surface for them to attract to, especially when when it gets really late in the fall and all the grass and stuff starts dying off. You really want to hit up these brush piles and these rocky areas. So you've also got some rocks right in this area too. And you can see the rock is kind of scattered in here. You can see it around this dock a little bit. It's really significant right in here. So I like that. Plus it looks like there's like a little drain or something going on here. As we move down, there's a little bit of lighter rock in here. This rock in here, if I zoom in, you'll be able to tell it's a lot thicker, like it's a bigger, chunkier type rock. So it doesn't look like it's going to let us do it, but you'll be able to see it when you get there. Down here, you've got some debris in here as well. Some additional rock, bigger, chunkier rock going on in here. All of this seems to be man-made rock that they've tossed out here. But basically, you've got rock that starts from about that bank line to about right down in this area somewhere where the rock kind of starts to dissipate. So definitely check that out, especially if you're on a rock pattern. You could just hit that section of the bank line. I think you'd have some success there. We've also got some additional laydowns that start here. So right after that rocky stuff, you immediately come into some laydowns on the transition. So that could be a good spot to take a look at. And then as we move on down this channel, the next thing I found were these brush piles were over here. They look really juicy. Let me back out and show you where these are. So I kind of came up that, that bend. I'm up in here. I'm right here at these two brush piles right up here. So right here where this entryway comes in, you'll notice there's that opening that's right there. Well, right where that opening is, there's some huge just brush that's been stacked up in this area. So if we move it up to 2017, you can still see it sticking out, but I guarantee you could come up here and you could flip around that stuff and probably have a pretty good time hitting both of those spots. It could be a community spot too, so it could get worked over a ton, but I guarantee there's some pretty good fish in that area. And I really like how it's like the deepest spot in that whole area is right in here too. So they got a little bit of a place to kind of back down to as well. So some pretty good stuff going on in there. I didn't see anything hardly, guys, when I pulled this back and came over here. This just looks like a bunch of junk. So I don't think I'd spend a ton of time over there, but hey, if you fished this lake before, we would love to hear comments from you, some little local knowledge. If you guys could share it, that would be awesome. That's what this channel is all about, is just sharing what we can find and the knowledge that we have on the lake. So if you would be willing to share those comments, I would truly appreciate it. Let us know, is this a good area to fish around in here? This looks like maybe a decent little channel, but I don't know. I didn't really see anything in here worth marking, so I skipped this whole entire section. You can see, I just didn't see much down there. There's a little ramp, but I didn't want to make you guys go all the way over there just to fish a ramp. Again, not much going on in that section. And then finally we get down here and we start getting into some stuff that we really like. So first thing is we've got a pretty good laydown that's right here. And then we've got some additional debris that's back out in here as well. So pretty decent little pile of debris. Let's see if I can zoom in here for you guys. Pretty decent little pile of debris going on right in here. So check that out. There's that laydown now that it's finally came back in. Pretty good laydowns, pretty good pile of brush right in that area. And if we bring it back to 2017, you can see that that's actually kind of hidden. You can't tell that it's there, but it's definitely there, just barely underwater, but pretty good spot right there. All right, so moving on down, we kind of got the same type thing. We got another laydown that's right in there. You can tell this channel really narrows right in this area. And then as we move down, didn't see too much going on there, but I did mark this. This is like, couldn't tell if this was a creek channel or this is just something somebody with, a man-made type thing. But it definitely looked like it had at least a little bit of, creek channel look to it. So I went ahead and marked it as a creek channel, but honestly, guys, I don't think I'd spend too much time fishing around right in that area. But again, if you have local knowledge and you know something I don't know, maybe that is a good spot to take a look at. We've also got a little bit of hard spots over in here, but I didn't want to send you guys that direction. So then moving down here, we're getting in some juice now. Now we see we've got a lot of debris that's piled up right in this area. So I could see flipping around all this stuff, all that good stuff. We move it back to 2017. You can tell that this one's not as obvious. That point comes out there. Hopefully you wouldn't hit that with your boat, but right off the end of that point is where you start seeing the debris and things like that with all the laydowns. So I'm going to keep moving down. We got a brush pile that's over here, right outside of that dock. So that one's marked for you guys. Down here, we got some rock that's going on. Little kind of almost like slabs is what I think it is. Or maybe it's just a big piece of rock, but definitely something going on right in there. If we move further back, we've got some rock back in here too. This is always hard when we get on these side of these hills like this. We've got some good laydowns going on right in this section. Some more laydowns back here. And then finally, you get in a little bit of a transition area or something, and you've got a lot of rock or a hard spot right in here. And I kind of like how it comes out and makes that point too. That looks really interesting. Now on this side, we've also got, looks like, I don't know if this is an old boat that's sunk, if it's a fish attractor site. I have no idea what the heck this is, but if you move it to 2017, it looks like it's pretty much gone. I don't see anything there. But there's definitely something there, or was something there. So check that out, see what that is. As far as up there by these boat docks, again, didn't see anything up there. So if you're wondering why I'm skipping that section, I'm going to hit us up when we get down here. That's when I started seeing stuff. So let's keep moving down. There's some additional debris that's right here off this little soft point as well, right off the main channel. So check that. Looks good. Probably a community spot. Moving down here, you've got another brush pile right here that looks really good. That one's pretty well defined. Again, could be another community spot, but it's pretty far off the bank line, so I kind of like that one. That one's probably got some decent depth. Got another laydown going on right in here. I looked back in here to see if maybe there was some stuff going on here, but I didn't see too much. You got a ramp over here, and then I'm going to go back up to that top, and let's talk about, actually, I'm going to come down to here, and then I'm going to skip over. We'll talk about that, and then we'll keep going down. So let's talk about this right here. So we got some brush piles right in here. I've marked them for you. You can see them. They're sticking out like a sore thumb right off the edges of these docks. A little bit further down, we've got some ramp, got some additional rock that maybe you could fish around. Now, the depth in this area is the only thing that would concern me. Is how deep is it really in here? Is it only like 2 feet, or is it 5 or 6 feet? It's just, that's the only thing that would concern me about fishing this area. But I guarantee at some point in time, these are good areas to fish. We've got some ramps in here all along this bank line. I think you've got 5 different ramps. So if you were on that ramp pattern, if they kind of pulled on to that harder pattern, you could definitely find them on these rocks or on these ramps. You got another ramp in here as well. Not a lot of rock around this ramp or anything like that you would typically see. All right, so before we kick down here, let's move back up here and let's just talk about just this side right here. So take you back and show you where we are. We're about a little more than halfway done. So we're right here on this first bend as we're coming down. So I'm going to come over here. There's additional brush piles over here by these docks. So there's one right here off the edge of this little platform. There's another one over here. Actually, a bunch of them. Let me zoom in here and show it to you. About 4 or 5 big brush piles right here. There's even one back here too. This guy's probably a crappie fisherman. Got another brush pile over here too. Got a ramp there, so you got some hard surface and some rock. You got some more ramp over, another ramp over there with some more rock. So pretty good area right in here. Good brush piles, rock, ramps, all that good stuff. Like it all. All right, then moving down, didn't see too much going on down through there. There is kind of this stuff, but I don't think that's brush pile. I think that's just like clumpy grass. So I didn't mark those. I only marked the ones that I really could tell they were true brush piles. There's another little brush pile here that's like a mini one. And then if you look back in here, there's a decent little ditch that's coming out. It's just a drainage ditch that's coming out from the neighborhood, but it's actually, formed a pretty decent ditch coming through here. So check that part for sure and see if they're just relating to that ditch. Moving on down, we've got another brush pile and another brush pile. So you can always count on these docks producing for you. You probably have pretty good luck just fishing in the docks, fishing in the shady spots and stuff like that. But these brush piles, they can set up on those too, so definitely check them out. And you crappie fishermen, those brush piles are money, money, money. Definitely go check them out. All right, so I'm going to move down here. Next thing we find is a laydown, a little bit farther down here. Got this area here. I can't tell what this is. And the image isn't that good. Hopefully it zooms in here a little bit. You can see it a little bit better. It gets a little bit clearer. But there's something going on here, and I can't tell if it's rock or what the heck it is, but go over here and just check it out because it's different than everything else, so it's probably worth checking out. We've got some laydowns here, got some additional debris that's off of that point. And then as we come back in here in this little pocket, there's an old dock. Now, I don't think that dock exists. If I move it to 2017, it still looks the same. So those dock pillars, those old dock pillars that are still standing, those sometimes can be really good places to look. Plus, you've got a lot of laydowns back here that you can fish around. So this could be a pretty decent little area, and you've got a ramp there too. Moving out of that pocket, next thing we find is some laydowns, additional laydowns around this dock as well, and then even more on this side. So pretty decent little area here on the main channel, and then some additional laydowns here. And then as we move down, let me just make sure I haven't gone too far. If we haven't, we're good to go. As we move down, there's a pretty significant ditch coming through here. And I have no idea where this is really coming from. You can see the drain there. There's a drain there. And I'm not sure where it starts at. But anyways, you can see that it has actually made a pretty significant carve out into the land. And as you get into the lake, there's a pretty decent little ditch there. If we zoom in, there's actually a decent little ditch in that area. So if I move it to 2017, you can see that's all covered up. I like those spots a lot, especially if it's rained recently. So if you're coming in the day and it's raining, go there for sure. The day after a big rain, for sure, go in those areas. I really like those areas when there's been rain around or it's actually raining. All right, so then in here you've got some rocks that kind of showed up finally. A little bit of rocks and some laydowns and stuff like that. Definitely worth fishing. You got another laydown back in here, and then some additional rock that's over here by this dock. So just right in this area, and then of course got these stick ups too. So don't ignore the stick ups. Sometimes those can be really juicy spots. All right, so I'm going to keep moving down. Now we're going to finally get back over here, and we're going to cut back over into this little pocket. You see here where I'm on the bend. I'm going to cut back into this pocket. There's a creek channel back in here, and this one's actually a pretty good creek. So you can see it's got good swings and all of that. So you kayakers, this looks like it could be a good little area to go back and do some fishing. But I went ahead and marked the creek channel here, so that way when you're out on the lake, you can actually tell where the true creek channel is. Now it is pretty obvious, but if you look at it from 2017 or 2016, it's not as obvious at all. So if you're going out there, today where the lake is maybe up to normal pool, it's not going to look anything like what we're looking at on the map here. So I'm going to move us back to 2015. Spectrum's going a little low, it's a little slow for me today. So here's your creek channel. And then after that, I didn't find too much until we got out here, and then I started finding different things like laydowns. You got some standing timber right in here that you could fish around. You've also got some rocks over here off of this point, some shallow rocks, your square bills, your shaky heads, stuff like that. Also got some additional rock back here behind these docks. So I could see rocks being good on this lake because there's just not a ton of it. So if they're not on the laydowns, they're on the rock. If they're not on the laydowns or the rock, they're on the grass. So you can kind of put all that together. And that doesn't always work, but that's kind of a good little pattern to follow. So, all right, so I'm going to move down here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep coming all the way down this south bank line. When we get done here, we're going to circle back up and we're going to finish right over here where this ramp is. So let's go ahead and start off. We talked about the laydown and the rocks on that one. We've got some additional rock that's going on right in this area around these docks. Just some shallow stuff, nothing crazy, not big boulders or anything. You've definitely got some harder spots there. You've also got some rocks in this area. And off of this point, it looks like you got a little break wall, and then by that break wall, you've got some chunk rock. You can see here as I zoom in. All good spots to be fishing around. Those fish really like to attract that stuff. You've got some rock in here as well. Then as we move up, we've got a ramp, and around that ramp, you've got some rocks as well. So definitely some hard spots going on here. I thought that might be a brush pile, but I think that's the shade from that tree. So anyways, check that out. There's a couple laydowns there too. So maybe just flip around that dock, flip around that area, and then head on out. You got some rocks in here too. Some little good rocks right in this little pocket. You can see this being good. I love fishing around bridges. You guys know I love bridges. So that to me would be one spot I would definitely have to check out. Now, if we move back in this little pocket here, let me show you where I'm at again. Right here. So as we move back into this little pocket, as you get past this big dock that's right here, you hit a transition area where all of a sudden you start seeing a lot of rocks. So check this spot out back in here. Depending on the time of year, that could be a pretty decent spot. Definitely off the beaten path. Then moving up here, be careful because there's lots of stick-ups and stuff, but you've got some rocks that are right out in here, like a little mini rock pile. It's right in that area. And then over here, you've got a ramp that's over in here, another ramp. And then this was the craziest thing I've ever seen. These guys with their brush piles crack me up, but these appear to be brush piles. I think they're brush piles. If they're not brush piles, there's something unique to this. And it'd be really cool if you found fish on one of them, because then you could find fish on the other ones as well. But come out here and check them out. I think these are random brush piles, not random. Someone put them here. But it looks like you got 4 different brush piles you could fish right in this area. All right, so I'm going to keep moving. On up here, I also wanted you to check this. It looks like there could be some rock or some debris right there on that spot. So just check it, see if there's anything there. Again, you got to be careful when you're back in here because you've got a lot of standing timber and things like that. So then we're going to move further back. Sorry, starting to lose my voice here. Move further back. I want you to check this right here. It looks like there's a little ledge or a hard spot or something that's right in this little spot. And we've also got some additional rock that's over here too. So some pretty good hard spots when everything else around here is pretty much mud and grass. So then moving on up, next thing we're going to find is some more brush piles. So we've got a little ramp that's here, but for whatever reason, right off the ramp is a brush pile. Craziest thing I've ever seen. Like you literally would drive right over it with your boat, but you got two little brush piles that are right there. Check those out. Check out these laydowns all in here. Got another brush pile over here between these two docks. Again, guys, look at this. There are stumps everywhere. Be super careful. It looks like your safe spot is to hug up this side, and you got these little chutes that come down that you could get into. But just be careful when you're up here, for sure. I'm going to keep moving on down, and I think that clears us up for that side. No, it doesn't. It's ahead of myself. We got one more spot. So you come down here and cut over here by this dock, and this dock has got a pretty decent looking brush pile right off the edge of it. It's got another lay down out here too, but this one looks the best. All right, so all these guys at these docks are probably ready to shoot me. So let's go ahead and let's move back over, and let's move our way all the way back up to that top, and we're going to finish out this video. So out here off of this point, pretty good lay down going on out here. Very significant. It looks like a very large tree or something like that. You got a lot of junk in here that you could flip around and stuff too, but this looks like a really good one, especially when you bring the water up, because it looks like that's completely underwater. Like you wouldn't know that it was there unless that water was pulled down. You've also got a pretty good lay down over here too. Looks like two large trees right in the water, so you want to check those out. You got more laydowns, another pile right here. You could even call this a brush pile probably that they've put out there, but I put it as laydowns. Again, just be careful. Lots and lots of standing timber. As we move up this bank line, there's another brush pile right here. Now this bank line was tricky because you can see the image is not that great. So I just picked a couple of spots that looked really, really good. Now that actually could be pretty good too. That looks like a full-blown tree that I missed. You got a brush pile right in there. And then as we move up, I'm just going to scroll on us up. Now this bank line, that whole bank line could be good because it looks like that's where your depth is at. But back in here, you've got a creek channel as well. So went ahead and mark that for you guys. That one is interesting, because if you move it up, you can't really tell if you get back in there where that creek channel was. So it's cool to be able to mark that to kind of see where everything is. But you got all kinds of stuff that you could fish around back in there. It doesn't look too deep, but lots of brush and junk and all kinds of stuff to fish in there. That is a north-facing cove too, so that's pretty cool, especially come winter time to kind of hang out around in here and see what you can find in here. All right, so we got some rocks around in here as well. Some additional brush that looks like brush piles with the rocks. So this all looks good. This bank line just looks pretty healthy. Looks like you could have a lot of fun just going down this bank line and fishing. Down in here, you've got major brush piles going on right in here, major brush. So I marked that for you guys. Of course, there's standing stuff all around you. You got timber back in here as well, standing timber and some laydowns, all right in this area, pretty heavy. And then as we get back in here, we start getting into some rock again. So we've got some rock in here, pretty good rock over here by this dock as well. You got another big chunk of rock coming out here off this little secondary point, pretty decent laydown. And you've got a little creek channel bed or swing that comes up and swings against the bank right here underneath this dock. So I would check this out right in here. All of this right in this little section looks good. And also out here off this point would be a pretty good place to look. Now you've got a ramp over here. I'm going to zoom back so I don't get you guys lost and show you where I'm at. We've came up that bend, and we're right here now. So kind of show you where we're at. So we're almost done. We're about a quarter of the way left, and then we're going to rock and roll on out of here. So we've got some rock that's up here by these docks. Check those out. A brush pile that's over here, and some additional brush and just junk that's back in here. I like getting back in there and flipping around that stuff. Sometimes that's really fun, just to get something that you can just throw in that nastiest, gnarliest stuff that most people wouldn't fish. So you go back there and fish it, and that's usually where you catch your pretty decent fish. So real good rocks in here. Again, all that junk back in there, some brush in here, another good rocky point right here as well. And then we move up, and the next thing I didn't find too much until I got right in here and some 3 really good laydowns right on that spot right there. So check that out. And I'm going to zoom back out here. Now we get back into where this next little pocket is where the homes are. And I didn't see too much back in there, but I'll take you back in there and show you what I did find. First off that point, there's some shallower rock. So check that out. And then back in here, you've got a brush pile that kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. You can see it there. And some rock around this dock right there. And there's a little bit more right here on this side too. So a couple good spots there. And then some more rock that's just right here on this little corner. Other than that, I didn't find too much back there in that pocket. They didn't seem to be as happy-go-lucky with the brush piles as those other docks that we looked at. And then moving off here, you've got some rock. Didn't find too much back in that little pocket back in there, so just skip that. And then as we move up, I think that takes us back up to this bridge. Got 3 more spots to show you. Obviously, fish around the riprap around the bridge for sure. You've got some really good riprap here, so kind of the concrete, and then it turns into rock just right from there to there. That could be a good spot. And then you've got some rock that's over here. That could be a ramp or something. Not sure what that is. There's the ramp. The ramp's over here. And then that's just the little fishing pier. So check those out. And guys, that wraps us up for Zone 1 for Lake Granbury. I hope that is helpful to you guys. Hopefully you go out, you catch your PB this weekend, you enjoy these points. Go out to our site, check it out, simplisticfish.square.site. I can put these on the card for you and import them into your graphs. We'll get those out there tonight. And until next time, like I said, hope you catch your PB. Take care.